Hello, Cedar City, Iron County, Utah. My name is Thomas Loveheart, and I'm a progressive independent who's running for Utah House District 71 this November. And the cyberbullying worked. As you can see, I got a haircut, but that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Antelope Data Center. On June 4th, the Iron County Planning Commission, despite massive public outcry and months of protest and concerned citizens sending in their conditions and emails to Brett Hamilton and the Iron County Commissioners, is likely to vote to approve this data center. I'll bet you $100 that they're going to approve it anyways on June 4th. You might have heard the news that the Iron County Commissioners voted to suspend the approval of new data centers for 180 days. But I'll bet you another $100 that this won't be the last data center that they approve here in Iron County. And this temporary pause on approvals is just that. It's simply meant to lower the temperature so they can continue to approve these things in the future. So that June 4th meeting will happen here in Cedar City in the Festival Hall at 5:30 p.m. And in all of these meetings, I'm always surprised to see how much decorum there is. How much people are willing to sit there quietly and listen while our supposed representatives don't listen to us. So I'm just telling you now, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be a little bit loud. And as a reminder, make sure that you vote out Mike Bleak this November. Paul Cousins isn't running for a re-election, but his seat is going unopposed to K. Rand Bettridge, who, like the rest of them, the only thing that he'll say about these data centers is that he believes in private property. We all believe in private property rights, okay? But do you know the kind of hoops I have to jump through just to get my fence raised another 3 feet? There's no way I'm going to be putting a natural gas power plant in my backyard without considering the harmful effects that's going to have on my neighbors. As it stands, the zoning that allows data centers and natural gas power plants to go up on agricultural land was snuck in last year. And to any of us out here who expect that we should be able to trust our representatives, that should come as a smack in the face. It's the same with completely altering the master plan for Cedar City and upzoning everything to high density housing anytime one of their friends asks for it. The Good Old Boys Club is strong out here in Cedar City, and it's one of the reasons that our city has transformed so dramatically over the last 10 years. But the same thing exists across the state of Utah. In fact, 70% of the Utah legislature has deep financial ties to the real estate and development industry. And they don't care what gets built. They don't care if the average person can afford a home out here, as long as they're all making money off of it. There will be a protest against these data centers tomorrow. That is May 30th at Main Street Park at noon. So I know a lot of us work, we gotta watch our kids, we gotta go to school. But if you can find the time today, then make a sign and meet us tomorrow at the park. Opposition to these data centers is incredibly bipartisan. It doesn't matter if you're from the right or you're from the left. We don't want these gigantic, energy-intensive, water-intensive, polluting buildings out in our beautiful rural county. I went on a mountain bike ride this morning up on Lava Flow, and I stopped at the top of the mountain and I'm just looking out across the valley. And I'm imagining a future for Cedar City where they build 5 or 6 of these data centers and suddenly the air is poisoned. I moved to Cedar City because I love rural Utah. I'm an avid outdoorsman. I love mountain bike riding. I love hiking. I love camping. I love the beautiful, majestic landscapes that make Utah, Utah. And I don't want to see all of that ruined by a legislature who will not listen to the people who elected them. As it stands right now, the laws on the books are just not sufficient to protect us from the harms that these things will bring to our community. And if I'm elected as your representative for District 71, I will immediately begin crafting legislation to protect air quality, to ensure that these gigantic 1.5 gigawatt data centers that use as much electricity as 2 million homes, and that's just one, actually are powered by renewable energy. So they're not releasing millions of tons of emissions into our air that is causing birth defects, learning disabilities, asthma, cardiovascular problems. And I will make sure that they don't get these gigantic tax breaks so that these trillion-dollar corporations that are building these $30 billion buildings are actually bringing in the tax revenue to Iron County that they should, instead of lobbying all their corporate bot politicians in the legislature to give them tax breaks. And I will put real enforceable limits on their water use so that when they inevitably do exceed what they say they're going to use, that there is more recourse for us as a community than simply charging them a fine. That is the type of representation that you deserve. And yeah, I'm not MAGA. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Republican, but I'm not a Democrat either. I'm a progressive independent. And I moved out here and I bought a home out here, and my future is deeply and intimately entwined with that of Cedar City. This is my home and I care what happens to it. And I never imagined myself as someone who was going to get into politics like this, but I cannot sit by while the legislature destroys everything that we love about this state. We deserve representatives that are going to fight to lower housing costs for working people, that are going to fight for better wages and lower healthcare costs. And we don't deserve representatives, and I don't care if they call themselves Republican, who are going to sell off our public lands, who are going to defund our schools, who are going to raise our health insurance premiums, who are going to give giant subsidies to out-of-state housing corporations and out-of-state big tech companies, and who are going to do nothing while the Great Salt Lake drains and creates this environmental catastrophe for millions of people. I know I'm not the typical person who gets elected out here. The last person to run against Shipp got 22% of the vote. And in order for me to win, I'm going to need to convince thousands of Republicans to vote for me this November. And I intend to earn those votes. Because although I might have some really left-leaning views when it comes to the environment, right or left, we want a lot of the same things. We want to be able to buy a home and raise a family and build a future that we can look forward to. And right now, the people who are currently representing us in the Utah legislature, in Congress, and across the country, they are not building a future that any of us can look forward to. And that stands for both Republicans and Democrats. We need a new kind of politics in rural Utah, and we need a new kind of politics in this country. A politics that is not red or blue, but one that puts people first, one that is community-centered, one that is pro-worker, pro-transparency, pro-accountability, pro-democracy, and anti-establishment. Again, my name is Thomas Loveheart, and I'm running to be your representative this November. And for all of you young people out there who don't vote, I'm talking about single moms, I'm talking about renters, I'm talking about students. It's time to get involved in your community. The average age of a voter in Iron County is 55 years old. But you deserve a voice in shaping the future out here because you're the ones who are going to be living through it. And that can be one that is affordable and sustainable and full of opportunity, or it can be one that more inflation, more corruption, and further from the country that we know that we can build. You can learn all about me and where I stand on my website at voteloveheart.com. I'm not shy about what I believe in, and I want to be transparent. And I've put more about the platform that I'm going to be fighting for than probably any other politician running in the state of Utah.